So Wellfleet is a town that is somehow home to world-class Oysters, one of the last drive-in movie theaters in New England, a summer migration of thousands of psychiatrists, and a Dunkin.
All in the same zip code.
All in the same zip code. It should not work.
But it absolutely works. Welcome to Inside Outer Cape. I'm Laura Potenza.
And I'm Butera. We sell real estate on the Outer Cape. Today we're making the case, and maybe the counter case, for Wellfleet.
Wellfleet, yeah.
So, Wellfleet sits between Truro to the north and Eastham to the south. It's, other than Provincetown, one of the only other town on the Outer Cape that has a real village center.
Yes, it has a main street, shops, restaurants, a town pier on the harbor. It's the town where the Outer Cape starts to feel like a real place that people actually live in, and not just a place to pass through.
Yeah, year-round population around 2,700. And about 70% of Wellfleet's land is protected open space, which is National Seashore, Mass Audubon, the Kettle Ponds, Harbor, and housing is mostly single family. Condos do exist, but are less common than P-Town or further up the Cape.
Yeah, and the town has a real identity. It has arts, community, a fishing community, academics on sabbatical. It's got layers, and I'm going to go get Tony.
Okay, thank you. Tony's crying, and so we're going to...
Tony.
Come on, buddy. So, so Wellfleet also has statistically an extraordinary concentration of psychiatrists.
Yes. So every summer, thousands of mental health professionals bypass the Cape and head directly to Wellfleet. It's been going on for 3 generations. The Boston Globe actually did a feature on it.
Yeah. At any Wellfleet dinner party, half the guests are quietly analyzing the other half.
Which explains a lot about the Wellfleet dinner party conversation. So let's start where everyone starts.
The oysters.
Yes, the oysters. They are world famous and genuinely so. The harbor has been producing them since before European settlement. The tidal flats, the cold water, the mix of fresh and salt. There's a flavor profile here that's hard to replicate anywhere else.
It's true. I forgot about the mixing of fresh and salt. But yeah, the aquaculture community is thriving, and still after all this time. Grant tours on the flats, buy directly from the fishermen, which you can do. And then we have Oyster Fest, which is the weekend after Columbus Day, and that draws like 20,000 people to a town of 2,700.
Yes, so there's live music, arts, there's an art fair, the oyster shuck-off. It's reportedly the largest shucking competition in America.
That's shucking amazing. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. So the beaches. Okay. Yes, the beaches. On the Atlantic side, there's White Crest, which is a massive dunes and serious surf. Cahoon Hollow, which I love because it's where Beachcomber sits, right at the top of the hill.
You know, I have never been to the Beachcomber. I know, I've never been.
I'm stunned. So there's Newcomb Hollow. I've been there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most dramatic sketches of the beach on the East Coast.
Bayside.
Yeah.
You've got Duck Harbor for sunsets, Mayo Beach in the harbor for a calmer day. And then one of my favorites of all are the kettle ponds.
The kettle ponds.
Most people don't know about them until they
get here. Yeah. So they're glacially formed. They are crystal clear. They're cold. They're green. Slough pine. Slough pine. Excuse me. In the pines, there's Spectacle Pond. Oh, that one's amazing. And then that's inside the seashore. And then there's Long Pond, which is like a grassy it has like a grassy picnic area.
And they're cold water, but not cold like the ocean cold.
No.
It's spring fed, so it's a constant temperature.
It's so refreshing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really one of the best swimming experiences. They have sandy bottoms because, the Cape is sandy underneath the topsoil.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going in these spring fed kettle ponds, there's no scum on the top. It's clean, clear. Not too cold, and you got these sandy bottoms. It's just one.
Yeah.
And nobody goes to them because everybody goes to the beaches.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I went swimming in the pond, I was like, I don't want to go to a pond. I thought of like lily pads and frogs and but oh my God, it really is one of the best swimming experiences out here. So, yeah.
On a hot August day, when the Atlantic is heavy and the bay is crowded, a kettle pond is a complete revelation.
Yep.
And most of them are free for town residents, which on the Outer Cape is not nothing.
No. So there's also, there's galleries on Main Street and Commercial. Mm-hmm. Wellfleet Preservation Hall, which is a restored church that hosts concerts, film screenings, yogas, and Harbor Stage has been doing really serious, amazing theatrical work there for over a decade. I love going to Harbor Stage.
Cool. We also got Uncle Tim's Bridge.
Yep.
Built in 1783. It crosses Duck Creek to Hamlin Island, and it's on the State Historic Register. At high tide, the water nearly laps planks. At low tide, you're looking down at fiddler crabs in the mud. There's walking trails on the other side with harbor view.
Yeah,
really
it's one of those places that's impossible to photograph in a way that does it justice. You just have to stand in it.
Mm-hmm. And Lieutenant Island, one of the most unusual residential situations on the Cape.
Yeah,
it's connected to the mainland by a causeway that completely floods out at high tide. Twice a day.
Yes.
You're totally cut off. Maybe about 40 homes out there, and the people who want Lieutenant Island know exactly what they're using.
Yes, because the tide charts are not optional.
Like if you want to be off the grid, if that's you,
place to be.
Lieutenant Island. Also, the Wellfleet Drive-In on Route 6, one of a handful of remaining drive-ins in New England, which is open seasonally. And then there's a flea market there on the weekend.
Yes. And then there's the Dunkin.
Yeah. The Outer Cape is really not, you don't think of it as a place where any kind of a chain can survive, but we are in Massachusetts.
So.
And Wellfleet has the only Dunkin on the Outer Cape. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the locals will mock it. Sometimes they love it. I depend on it.
Yes, you do.
I have to get my
Dunkin.
My large cold brew with almond milk and 3 Splendas.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and everyone has been to that Dunkin.
Yep,
everyone.
So, I want to go back to the theater because we are invested in the theater.
Yes,
as we've talked about, and one thing we'd be remiss not to mention is that the Wellfleet Harbor Actors Theater, known as WHAT, has been part of this town's identity since 1985, it's put on some serious theater. Julie Harris performed here. Pedro Pascal in his early career performed there.
Yep. And it has suspended operations as of June 2026. Rising costs, a very difficult fundraising environment. In 2024, they relied on donations for over 80% of revenue and still ran a deficit. The producing artistic director called it a brief intermission.
Harbor Stage Company, which shares the grounds, they'll continue, but so that means the theater in Wellfleet isn't gone.
Right.
And there's still a company there. Mm-hmm. But what as a venue is a question mark.
Oh, no.
And we thought that buyers who care about cultural institutions should know that.
Yeah, a lot of Wellfleet buyers do.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
So I would say, as far as pricing, Wellfleet kind of sits between Truro and Provincetown. You can get some single-family homes. I mean, we just saw one last week for $699.
Yep.
Single family home.
Yep. So median ranges of sale prices are between $800,000 and $900,000 range. Median list prices trending higher. Some data puts them to 1.1, 1.25 million. Price per square foot is about $500 to $700.
Yeah. And days on market is usually longer than you might expect. 80 to 110 days in recent data. Some of that is sellers pricing to a peak that has softened a little bit lately.
Yeah. But Wellfleet buyers actually are very well researched. They're often in professional fields. The college degree rate for year-round residents is about 58%, nearly triple the national average.
Okay.
So they ask very good questions.
I imagine, yes. I've been asked some of those questions. And sometimes they're psychiatrists, so
yes,
maybe the questions aren't really about what you think they're about.
Yes. Actually, a big number of them are psychiatrists.
As we spoke.
Yeah. So it's not Provincetown.
No.
So if you want nightlife, restaurants past 9 o'clock, and energy that runs until about 2 o'clock in August, you're going to head north.
Right. The village is charming, but it is small.
Yeah.
Main Street winds down early. Only one elementary school.
Yes.
If you want to go to middle and high school, you've got to take a bus to Eastham to go to Nauset Regional.
Right. And the off season is real.
Yeah.
Favorites in August are closed in February. So if you need a situation in November, you need to generate it for yourself.
Right. There is an irony worth noting. Well, as we've discussed, Wellfleet has a famous concentration of mental health professionals, but most of them are just summering and not actually working here. So the Outer Cape historically has had a real shortage of practicing therapists year-round.
Yes. So although, telehealth has helped with that, it picked up significantly during COVID and it never really went back. A lot of people on the Cape are now doing remote sessions with providers who might be elsewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is the therapists are here in August and on your laptop in February. Guess it works out.
Yeah, it works. It works.
So I guess is Wellfleet right for you?
And yes. So if you want a town with a real identity, art, food, water, community, and you don't need it to be loud about any of those things. Yes, it's one of the few places on the Outer Cape where you can walk to dinner, and that difference really does matter.
Full Provincetown energy, you got to head north to Beachtown,
right,
or south. Wellfleet's sort of the middle path, and on the Outer Cape, the middle path is very beautiful.
Yes. So if everyone around you turns out to be a licensed therapist, honestly, that is just good planning.
That's good. Well, thank you for spending time with us. Questions about buying or selling in Wellfleet or anywhere on the Outer Cape, we are here for you. We'll put the links in the description. You can find us on YouTube, and we will see you next time on Inside Outer Cape.
See you out there.